Hi guys, welcome back to Football Heaven 24/7. I'm your host Jamie. As you can see, I'm a Forest fan. A lot of you would know that follow me quite regularly. I'm going to go straight into it, starting with the Premier League as we always do. All the games over the weekend on the 4th and the 5th of March. Going to go through it quick. So, top of the table, obviously Arsenal at the start of the day, but Manchester City. They were they were at home to Newcastle at the 12:30 kickoff on the Saturday. They got a 2-0 win thanks to goals from Phil Foden and a goal from Bernardo Silva. That gave them a 2-0 victory, which momentarily put them within touching distance of Arsenal. But then Arsenal won their game later on in the day. But surprisingly, they went 2-0 behind to Bournemouth. An early goal, literally, I think on 8 seconds, no, 9 seconds it was. Philip Billing scored for Bournemouth. And then Bournemouth got a second goal in the second half from Sensini. They were 1-0 up at half time, then went 2-0 up. Then Arsenal had a fight back, starting on the 62nd minute through Thomas Partey. The first Arsenal goal in the Premier League for Ben White, on the 70th minute. And then Reiss Nelson came on as a substitute and scored a 97th minute winner. And there was only meant to be 6 minutes injury time in that game. So Arsenal literally fought back and robbed all the points away from Bournemouth. So Bournemouth, that was heartbreak. That put them bottom of the Premier League because of that. They could have been out of the relegation zone on the Saturday because of that. But as it was, Arsenal had a great fight back. The fight back meant that Arsenal still stay 5 points clear of Manchester City, both having played 26 games. Arsenal won their game in hand on Wednesday, just gone, winning 4-0 against Everton at home. So Arsenal have that 5 point advantage. Do I think they're going to bodge it up? I thought that they might do, but now I'm starting to see the qualities of what normally happens. When teams don't play well, they always end up grinding out results and getting the wins, especially good championship team, winning teams. So, yeah, I feel like Arsenal are going to do something quite incredible this season. Long overdue for the Arsenal fans. I think they've had to wait something crazy like 19 years since they last won the title. So, yeah, it'd be nice to see someone different win it other than Manchester City and Liverpool for a change, and the Chelseas and all those kind of teams that go up there usually. So, anyway, going through the other games in the Premier League. Aston Villa up against Crystal Palace. This was a mid-table sort of game. Aston Villa won the game 1-0 thanks to an own goal from Joachim Anderson for the defender for Crystal Palace. Brighton absolutely smashed West Ham 4-0. Goals from McAllister, Veltman, Matoma, and Danny Welbeck right near the end of the game gave them a 4-0 victory. And that was after West Ham beating my team, Forest, 4-0 in the previous game. So, yeah, a bit of a bad turnaround for West Ham. They looked like they were coming out of it a bit. They are still outside the relegation zone, um, only by a point, but they're still outside even after that defeat. So, it's still all to play for a lot of teams. There is 13 games to go now, or 13 games or 14 games for some teams to go in the Premier League now. So Chelsea finally got back into winning ways. They got a narrow 1-0 victory thanks to a header from Fofana against Leeds to win 1-0. Southampton got a crucial win on the late evening kickoff on the Saturday, beating Leicester City 1-0 thanks to a goal from Alcaraz. That gave them much needed points, and that didn't move Southampton out of the relegation zone, but it took them off the bottom of the table. And there's still a chance at the bottom of the table. Wolves won as well, 1-0 at home to Tottenham, much needed victory for them. Goal from Adama Traore. And then on Sunday, absolute crazy scenes. The early kickoff on the Sunday was between my team Forest and Everton. Everton took an early lead through a shocking mistake from John Joe Shelby, tripping player in the box for Everton. That gave Demarai Gray the opportunity to open up the scoring. Then Forest got back into it literally 9 minutes later through Johnson. A shot from Gibbs White from just outside the area was palmed by Pickford, the Everton goalkeeper, into the path of Johnson, who just netted it perfectly. And then Decore took advantage of weak defending by Forest and got a header to make it 2-1 to Everton. And in the second half, when things looked like they were dripping away a bit for Forest, Johnson popped up again in the 77th minute with a great exchange between him and Gibbs White, and side-footed the ball perfectly into the top corner past Pickford, who was blindsided by his defender. So 2-2 that game finished between Forest and Everton. And then we had the massive, crazy, shocking result of the weekend. Not since 1931 has this happened to Manchester United in their history. They got absolutely smashed by their local rivals, Liverpool, losing 7-0. They were only 1-0 down at half-time, thanks to a goal from Cody Gakpo, the signing in January from PSV Eindhoven. But Manchester United had chances in the first half and looked like they could still get something out of the game, even at half-time. But an early goal in the second half through Nunez on the 47th minute, and then other goals came in, another goal each for Gakpo and Nunez, and also a goal for Salah. Salah overcame the all-time Premier League goal-scoring record set by Robbie Fowler for Liverpool, and he now has 129 goals in the Premier League, Salah. So obviously, he's probably going to go on for this season and definitely go on for this season and definitely next season. So he is going to score a lot of goals. He's already the top European goal scorer for Liverpool in their history as well. So he's on fire at the moment. So yeah, they ran riot. Roberto Firmino, who's leaving Liverpool, who's 31 now. He's leaving Liverpool after several years' service for them at the end of this season. He popped up with a late 7th goal. And Liverpool ran riot. They absolutely smashed Manchester United 7-0. So crazy. Obviously, on Sky, Gary Neville was losing it big time, which was quite funny to see. Jamie Carragher, obviously the former Everton fan, who now is Liverpool fan because obviously they win more, and he played for him, bit of a turncoat. But there we go. Anyway, so they got that victory. That just means that now Liverpool are only 3 points away from Tottenham, and they actually have a game in hand on Tottenham, and they can actually go above Tottenham if they win that game in hand. So into 4th place. So after a really shocking season by Liverpool's last few years' standards, Liverpool now stand a real chance of finishing 4th or 3rd in the Premiership table, which a few weeks ago no one would have guessed would have happened, especially after poor results against Wolves 3-0 away and many other poor results that they had through the season already. So yeah, great weekend for Liverpool. As I say, Arsenal are still top by 5 points over Manchester City in 2nd. Manchester United obviously got walloped by Liverpool, but still remain in 3rd. Tottenham are in 4th, and Liverpool in 5th. Down the relegation zone, Everton dropped it back into it, even though they were 2-1 ahead at Forest for quite a long period of time in the second half until Brennan Johnson popped up with the equaliser. Everton are still in the relegation zone, along with Southampton still, even though Southampton won, and along with Bournemouth, who, as I say, were 2-0 up, but got dragged back to losing 3-2 with a 97th minute wonder goal from Nelson at the end. So that's how the table's looking. In the relegation zone, you've literally got Bournemouth on the bottom with 21 points, then Southampton with 21 points, Everton then in the final relegation place with 22 points, and then just outside, all the way up to Forest, really, it's very, very tight. You're looking at Leeds on 22, West Ham on 23 points, Leicester on 24, Forest on 26. So it's still all to play for. I would say from Forest downwards, all those teams are still going to be fighting for their lives to stay in the Premier League, to keep having the big money, keep getting the better players in, and obviously, just better games generally for their teams to be able to watch, and better financial security for those teams as well. So that's what went on in the Premier League. Haaland is obviously still the top goal scorer, even though he didn't score at the weekend. Still got 27 goals, and Kane is just behind him with 18 goals in the Premier League. So I don't think that Haaland will be caught in the top goal scorer charts for that. Anyway, jump into the Championship. Start of the day, Burnley is still top of the table. They were away at Blackpool, Mick McCarthy's Blackpool, the former Republic of Ireland manager. They only drew 0-0 away at Blackpool. Blackpool are fighting for their lives to stay in the Championship, but they're still 6 points away from Cardiff. Cardiff got a much-needed 2-0 win in the Seven-side derby in the early kick-off in the Championship. They beat Bristol City 2-0 thanks to goals from Cabba and Philogene Bidas, I can't even say his name, gave him a 2-0 victory. Blackburn got a much-needed win against second-place Sheffield United, winning 1-0. and that keeps them obviously firmly in the playoffs. Middlesbrough absolutely smashed Reading 5-0 to stay in the playoffs. Luton stay in the playoffs with a 1-0 victory against Swansea City. Norwich City pushed back into the playoffs, coming from behind against Millwall in a thriller where they won 3-2 away at Millwall. Just outside the playoff area and just creeping up bit by bit, who's still got a good chance of getting in there. Coventry City, they're on a good run of form. They won 4-0 away at Huddersfield Town, Neil Warnock's Huddersfield Town. Huddersfield are still rock bottom of the Championship after that result, so it's looking really bad for Huddersfield. It looks like they're going to go down into League One. They're 7 points away. Well, if you count goal difference, you're looking at 8 points away from getting out of the relegation zone. So it could happen, but it's going to be very tough for Huddersfield. Other results from the Championship at the weekend. Rotherham had a smashing win against QPR. QPR are right down near the relegation zone. They're on a really bad run of form. At one point, they were up in the playoffs at the start of the season. And now they're literally 8 points away from, not even that actually, 7 points away from the relegation zone. So looking really, really bad for those teams at the moment. But yeah, Rotherham got a great win, 3-1. Sunderland got absolutely smashed by Stoke City, 5-1 at home. Didn't see that one coming. Stoke right down the bottom still, but like on near the bottom of the table, they moved up a bit because of that. So yeah, great win for Stoke. 0-0 between Watford and Preston. That's Preston's, I think, 9th 0-0 of the season. So, or 8th, I think, or something. So it's pretty bad. Wigan drew 1-1 with Birmingham, but they still remain in the relegation zone. And on the Friday night game, Hull City caused a tiny bit of a shock, beating West Brom 2-0 after West Brom having such a good run of form. But yeah, the table still Burnley at the top, quite a lot clear. They're 13 points clear of Sheffield United in second. Middlesbrough creeping up in that third place in that playoff place area. They're only 4 points now behind Sheffield United, although Sheffield United do have a game in hand. Also in the playoffs, it's Blackburn Rovers, Luton Town and Norwich City. Just outside the playoffs is Millwall and Coventry City. Relegation zone in the Championship, it's Blackburn, Wigan Athletic and Huddersfield. And the top goal scorer still in the Championship is Chuba Akpom, the former Arsenal youth player, with 21 goals for Middlesbrough. So that's what's going on in the Championship. Jumping into League One, just run through a lot of the results. Sheffield Wednesday are still top. They were playing at home to Peterborough and won 1-0 thanks to an own goal. Plymouth still staying second. They had a 2-0 win at home to Charlton. Ipswich Town still are in the playoffs in the third place. There's a slight chance they could nick the second spot still off Plymouth. They've played the same amount of games, but they're only 5 points away from Plymouth with 12 games to go. They got a 4-0 win, 2 goals from Connor Chaplin, Broadhead and Ladapo. Looking at other results, Accrington Stanley, they stayed just above the relegation zone, or just moved out of the relegation zone, winning 2-1 against Forest Green Rovers, who were bottom of League One. Bristol Rovers even drew 0-0 with Barnsley. Cambridge lost 1-0 at home to Portsmouth. Cheltenham won 1-0 against Fleetwood, a much needed win for Cheltenham to get away from the relegation zone. Also, Derby were 2-0 up against Shrewsbury Town, but drew 2-2. Unlucky Derby. I was happy to see that, to be fair, as a Forest fan. Lincoln got a win and are still undefeated in the whole of the Football League, which is absolutely insane at home. I think it's something now like they've had 3 wins at home, and I think it's like 13 draws or 12 draws or something like that. Something insane. So, so fair play to Lincoln. 1-0 win there. Morecambe drew 0-0 with Bolton. Plymouth, as I said, I've beat Charlton 2-0. Port Vale beat MK Dons 1-0. That keeps MK Dons still in the relegation zone. And finally in League One, Wycombe drew 1-0 with Exeter City. Top goal scorer is still Johnson Clark Harris with 18 goals. Connor Chaplin is in second for Ipswich Town with David McGoldrick for Ipswich Town and Derby respectively. So yeah, top of the League One table is Sheffield Wednesday in first, Plymouth second, Ipswich, Bolton, Derby and Barnsley in the playoffs. Relegation zone, it's Morecambe, MK Dons, and going for Cambridge United and Forest Green. Now jumping into League Two, finally, the last league to cover this weekend for the action. Top of the table at the start of the day, as it has been for a long time now, Leyton Orient. They are still 11 points clear of Carlisle United in second. They only had a 1-1 draw at home to Swindon. But they're still 11 points clear, as I say, of second place Carlisle, who won 2-0 against Grimsby Town. Carlisle jump above Stevenage. Stevenage on a really poor run of form just at the wrong time. They lost 2-0 away to relegation threatened Rochdale. So that was good for Rochdale. That got Rochdale a bit closer to getting out of trouble. They're still 4 points away from it. Well, 5 points if you count goal difference. Looking at other games, Mansfield absolutely smashed Wimbledon, still stay in the playoffs, 3-1 away to Wimbledon. Harrogate drew 0-0 with Gillingham. Northampton won 1-0 against Crawley Town. Salford City beat Newport County 3-1. Stockport drew 0-0 with Doncaster Rovers. Sutton drew 1-0 with Crewe. Tranmere drew 1-0 with Hartlepool. And Barrow beat Walsall 1-0 away. So top of the table in League Two. You've got Leyton Orient still top. Carlisle second. Stevenage in that final automatic promotion in third. In the playoff areas in League Two, got Northampton, Bradford City, Salford City, and Stockport County. And then down near the relegation zone to go into the conference in League Two, it is Crawley Town and Rochdale still. So top goal scorer is still Bradford City's Andy Cook with 19 goals. So fair play to him, Andy Cook. That's it really for the weekend's review. Keep liking and subscribing to the channel. We're going to keep doing more episodes, obviously. I'm going to do a few more in the week, a few historical ones talking about previous Premier League seasons. If anyone wants me to do one on one particular team or a great season from a particular team, whatever division they're in the top 4 divisions of the English leagues, then just give us a message in the bottom and I'll obviously sort something out. Have a great week of your sport. I'm going to do another episode very shortly that will be predictions for the coming week's games. Have a great week. Bye for now.